So, okay, guys, yesterday we discussed about what is virtualization, which is the hardcore of AWS cloud. Not only AWS, any cloud without virtualization, there is no infrastructure in the cloud. Coming to the storage part. To understand storage, you need to understand what are the physical servers, what is the data center. There are two types of servers. One is called tower. The other one we call blade server. 10 years back, we used to use towers. Nowadays, we are using blade servers. So basically, I worked on these blade servers, HP, Dell, 380. It has two internal hard disks, and 8 external hard disks. So these two internal hard disks we install operating system, either Windows or Linux. Yesterday I told you that we have a concept called RAID, redundant array of inexpensive disks. What is the meaning of redundancy? Redundancy means duplication. Set up a RAID here. There are two types of RAIDs, software RAID, hardware RAID. Software RAID and hardware RAID. In the real time, we are going to set up the hardware RAID. Set up the hardware RAID and install the OS. Once I install the operating system is going to install in both the disks parallelly. The operating system is going to install both the hard disks parallelly. That means what? Both the disks contains operating system. Both the hard disk contains OS. What's the advantage? If one disk fails, no downtime to the application, no downtime to the end user. Even one disk fail also, we have another hard disk running same operating system. So to give the zero downtime to the application, to give the zero downtime to the end user, we are going to set up a RAID with two hard disks. But what happened when both the hard disks fail? When both the hard disks fail, that is called as a backup. The remaining hard disks are the backup. So these hard disks we call it as a hard spare disk. Spare means additional. Hard spare means what? If any one physical disk fail, it will automatically replace the failed disk with the spare disk. Automatically. That means what? That is called as a hard. In the real time, for example, if you're a database administrator, as a database admin, your job is you can take the hot backup or cold backup. The difference between hot backup and cold backup. Hot backup means what? When database is up and running. When database is up and running, when logins are active, without disconnecting the logged in users, without loss of data, we can take the backup. That is called hot backup when database up and running. Cold backup means what? When disconnect all the logged in users. No login should be enabled while taking the backup. That is called as a cold backup. We also call offline backup. In OS level, cold backup nothing but offline backup, hot backup nothing but online backup. Similarly, hard spare nothing but if any one physical disk failed with no downtime to the application, no downtime to the end user, the spare disk automatically replaced with the failed disk. That is called hard spare. So all these are hard spare disks. In Linux administration, we have a concept called RAID concept. In that RAID, we'll discuss theoretically, practically. how to configure this hardware. This is about the blade server. So in the real time, the types of storages. One is dash, direct attached storage. The other one is SAN, storage area network, and NAS, network attached storage. Direct attached storage, dash stands direct attached storage. SAN, storage area network. NAS, network attached storage. If I purchase server with 20, 30, 40 lakhs, we have only one hard disk or two hard disks maximum for backup. So these two hard disks for, we call that internal hard disks. These are internal hard disks only for operating system. We never install database on local disk. These are called as a boot disk. The meaning of boot disk, which contains operating system. So database never keep in the boot disk. They're going to keep in separate storage box. The meaning of storage box, it's a device. A storage box is a device which contains multiple hard disks. It's a device which contains multiple hard disks. You'll see number of hard disks here. Depends on the storage configuration. You see the hard disk 20, 30, 40, 50 hard disk, one storage, depends upon the model. All these are hard disks in the storage. So database you are going to install not on the local disk or boot disk. Database you are going to install in a separate storage box. What is the advantage? You see this picture, it is also storage, but this storage we call as a internal storage. All the hard disks are internally connected to the server. This is called internal storage. This is called external storage. Both are storages, but that is internal. This is external. You can ask, why can't you install database here? Yes, we can install database, but tomorrow the server crash, the whole data will be lost. That's why this hard disk not for the storage. This hard disk not for the database. These are the hard disks for hard spare. They are the hard disk for hard spare for operating system. Hard spare for boot disk. We never install database here. Database will always install separate storage box. So this is called external hard disk. Tomorrow, all of a sudden, your server crash. Because my database not in the local hard disk, in a separate storage box, no problem. Remove this server, add new server, attach to the storage, are able to access the database. No loss of data because database under separate storage box. Generally, we have a Google Drive. Any important data, the personal data, important data, they are going to keep in the Google Drive. So that tomorrow my laptop is down, my laptop is corrupted, but my personal data in the Google Drive. That is called as a separate storage box. So what is dash, what is SAN, what is NAS, how it works, that we discuss when we start AWS classes. So this is called as a storage. Yesterday I told you that Instead of learning OS administration, Linux or Windows, instead of learning networking, and storage. What is storage? What is backup? Backup admin, database admin, security, monitoring. Instead of learning all these technologies, learn only one technology, that is called AWS. So I'm going to cover OS in AWS. I'm going to cover networking, AWS. I'm going to cover storage, database, backup, security, monitoring, everything will be covered in AWS. That's the reason AWS has a lot of demand. Not only AWS, any cloud. Coming to the AWS. Just a minute. So, introduction to AWS, Amazon Web Services, AWS and other cloud service providers. So there are so many cloud service providers, not only AWS. That also we are going to discuss. Actually, AWS resources, AWS architecture, AWS services and products, and AWS management console. Amazon Web Service provides on-demand computing resources and services in the cloud with pay-as-you-go pricing. Therefore, yesterday class we discussed about what's the meaning of computing. What's the meaning of computing? The combination of memory, RAM, and processor. That is called as the compute capacity. What is compute capacity? RAM and processor. So my laptop compute capacity is 16 GB RAM, 1 processor. For real time, the server's compute capacity more than 16 GB, 30 GB RAM, 64 GB RAM, 32 processors, 64 processors. Those are the real servers. We'll discuss maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow. What are those compute capacity in AWS console, like AWS cloud? So we pay as you go price, pay as you go model. What's the meaning of pay as you go model? Suppose I want to develop some application. I got a project. I need to develop the project. The project required high-end server. High-end server means 30 GB RAM, 4 CPUs. I need to purchase this server. For this server, I need a backup of another server. Why do you need a backup? There is no guarantee that the server is keep on up and running. Tomorrow, if the server is down, my whole application will be down. I need a backup for this server. So I purchased 2 servers and install the application database and I develop the project, and the project is running here. Tomorrow, after 6 months or 1 year, my business not running well. I want to shut down my business. Then whatever I invested, whatever I invested, like 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 15 lakhs, everything is gone. If I go for AWS, I can take the service. What are the compression part you require? You can take the server from the cloud, AWS, on pay as you go model. The meaning of pay as you go model, I can take the service on rental basis. These servers are available on rental basis. Like I can take the server for 1 hour. I can take the server for 1 month. I can take the server for 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. Suppose if I take the server for 1 month, but I run the server only for 70 hours or 100 hours, I'm going to pay only for 100 hours. I'm not paying that for whole 1 month or whole 1 year. That is called pay as you go model. Whatever the resources you are consuming, you pay only for that. You're not paying for whole 1 year, or you're not paying for whole 1 month. That is the main advantage of AWS. So pay as you go model. You can run a server on AWS. You can log on to the server, configure, secure, and run as you would a server that's sitting in front of you. It is same like the server is like in front of you. You can see everything. Whatever you want, you can access it from AWS. The switches, routers, everything is available. But physically we can't able to see that, but virtually we can see that. You feel that the server is in front of you. Using AWS resources instead of our own, like purchasing electricity from a power company, instead of running our own generator. So like every apartment have a generators, right? So instead of purchasing electricity, you can run the generator. Here there are two types of clouds. One is called private cloud. The other one we call public cloud. Private cloud and public cloud. What is a private cloud? Private cloud maintained by their own organization. Like IBM, they have their own private cloud. Wipro, they have their own private cloud. Like every company, they have their own private cloud. The meaning of private cloud, the resources in this private cloud, resources means software or hardware. We can access only from intranet, not from internet. That is called as a private. So every company has their own private cloud. Like every OS has their own private cloud software. Every operating system has their own private cloud. Like for example, you take Oracle. Oracle, they have a cloud called Oracle introduced cloud called G. From version 12 onwards, they introduce the cloud. Sorry, called C. C for cloud. VMware, they introduced the cloud called vCloud. vCloud from VMware. Like Linux, they have their own cloud. Windows, they have their own cloud. So all these are private clouds. We can't access these resources from internet, only from intranet. What is public cloud? If you want to start our own data center with all infrastructure, suppose, have you seen the data center? So these are called rack. These are called racks. This is called data center. Engineers are working in the data center. Their job is to take care about the infrastructure like switches, routers, servers. These are called a rack. In every rack, they inserted blade servers. All these are blade servers. So every company, they have their own data center. What is data center? It's a place, this is Microsoft data center. It's a place where they're going to keep all the infrastructure. They're going to keep all the infrastructure. This is one data center. So in this data center, all the servers are like Windows servers, Linux servers, storages, SAN storage, NAS storage, switches, routers, all the infrastructure they're going to keep one place. That place we call it as a data center. So in this data center, we have Linux server. You want to access this Linux server, the server data center. I told you in the first class, you need to install a third-party software, PuTTY. With the help of this PuTTY tool, we're able to access the server, Linux server, the server at data center. If there is a Windows server data center, you are a Windows administrator, you want to access this Windows server, then like PuTTY, if it is Linux, we require PuTTY. If it is Windows, we need a RDP. RDP stands Remote Desktop Protocol. With the help of this RDP protocol from Windows client, from your laptop, you're able to access the server at data center by using RDP Remote Desktop Protocol. Once we start AWS classes, we'll see both how to access Linux server, how to access Windows server. Benefits of the cloud. What is the problem with the physical data center? It is very, very expensive. If a business is not running well, if I shut down the business, I may lose crores of rupees. It is very, very expensive. That's why we go for cloud. Benefits of the cloud: self-service provisioning. Scalability, and elasticity. Pay per use. No capital infrastructure. Deploy the projects faster. Lower maintenance. Redundancy and high availability. Automatic software updates and disaster recovery. These are the benefits of the cloud. Self-service provisioning. As I told you earlier, your application demand 32 GB RAM, 4 CPUs. You can take the server from AWS. Whatever the compute capacity you require, what are the hardware compression part you require, any kind of compute capacity, we can take it, we can launch the server. The server in AWS we call as a EC2. EC2 stands Elastic Cloud Computing. In physical data center, we call it as a server. In cloud data center, we call it as a EC2. AWS we call EC2, Elastic Cloud Computing. This EC2 we call as a instance. Instance, nothing but a server. What is the difference between instance and EC2? EC2 is the service. EC2 is a service. Instance, nothing but a server. EC2 is the service, in that instance is the server. So in physical data center, we call it as a server. In cloud data center, we call it as an instance, if it is AWS. If it is Azure Cloud, we call it as a VM. VM stands virtual machine. AWS, we call it as instance. Azure Cloud, we call it as a virtual machine. Either instance or virtual machine, nothing but a physical server. So self-service provisioning, what are the hardware compression required? We can take the server, we can launch the instance. That is called self-service provisioning. Scalability and elasticity. Scalability and elasticity. Today I take a server, I launch one server, my server having configuration, let us say 4 GB RAM, (16 GB RAM) and 4 processors. Tomorrow my application demanding more than 16 GB RAM. Demanding more than 16 GB RAM. I want to add 4 GB RAM, more 4 GB RAM or 8 GB RAM. Without any downtime to my application, without any downtime to the end user, I can increase my memory, I can increase the processor. That is called as a elasticity. Elasticity is nothing but vertical, horizontal. Vertical means elasticity. We can increase our hardware, memory, processor. We can increase the hardware on running server. That is called vertical. We call it as a elasticity. Without any downtime. It is not possible if it is a physical server. In case of physical server, you want to increase the RAM, you have to shut down it because RAM is a physical memory slot. You have to shut down it, add the memory. Downtime to the application, downtime to the end user. You want to increase the processor, shut down it and add the processor. That is called physical. It's not a physical, it's a virtual. Instance nothing but a virtual machine. Because it's not a physical, it's a virtual. Without any downtime, I can increase my physical memory, I can increase number of processor, that is called as a elasticity. That is also called as a vertical. Horizontal. Currently, we have only two servers. Why we require two servers? There is a concept called clustering. There is a concept called clustering. I have worked on Veritas cluster, Tivoli cluster. In clustering, we have a concept called failover cluster, and load balancer. In clustering, there are some service group. There is a service group. The types of service groups are failover and load balancer. Failover means what? If this server fails, whatever the application running on this server, it automatically switch to the another server. If any resource fail, either physical resource means either hardware or a software. Suppose you take Apache. Apache is a web server. For Apache web server, the service we called as a HTTPD. HTTPD is a service for web server. If any service is failure, it automatically switch to the another server. That is called failover. If any service fail or any resource fail, network card fail, motherboard fail, SMPS fail, if any resource fail, automatically switch to the another server. That is called as a failure. Load balancer. Load balancer means what? There is no failover concept. In load balancer, for example, in failover, we call it as a active passive. Assume that I have two servers here. This is called node 1. Once you add a cluster, once you add the server in the cluster, the servers we call as a node. The servers running on the cluster, we call it as a node. Node nothing but a server. I have two nodes, node 1 and node 2. Currently, node 1 is active, node 2 is passive. Because my application, my service is running on node 1. That's why node 1 is active, node 2 is passive. We can add any number of nodes. Currently, we have only 2. We can add 4 or 5. How many nodes we can add? Maximum 32 nodes. In one cluster, we can add 32 nodes. 32 nodes, nothing but 32 servers. Each node is a server. Assume we are taking 2 nodes. If node 1 is active now, node 2 is passive. If node 1 is failed, then node 1 become passive, node 2 become active. What are the services running here? Automatically switch to the node 2, this become active, node 1 become passive. That is called active passive. In failover, only one node will be active, remaining all passive nodes. Whereas load balancer, in load balancer, all are active. Active, no passive. That is called load balancer. All the nodes are active. That means what? The service is running in all the nodes. Whenever the client is active, my application by default comes to node 1. We have to set the priority. The first priority is given to the node 1. So any request that comes to node 1. If this node 1 is busy, the request forward to the node. If this is busy, the request forward to the node. That is called as a load balancer. I'll show you one example. NS lookup, name server lookup, set type is equal to NS type. Basically, Yahoo.com is the web server. The web server not running on one node, it is running on 5 nodes. This is called load balancer. How many servers here? 5 servers. The first request sent to, when you type yahoo.com from the browser, the request sent to NS1. If this is busy, send to NS2, NS3, NS4, NS5. This is called load balance. I'll explain this later. We have a separate topic on it. So that is called failover and load balance. If it is a physical data center, you have to add these many servers. You have to add these many servers, and all the servers are up and running. All the servers are up and running. It is very, very expensive. You have to purchase these servers. If I go for AWS, we have a concept called, there's a service called autoscale. Service called autoscale. In that autoscaling, we have vertical, we have horizontal. Horizontal means what? Suppose initially only one node is active. I didn't launch the server. I didn't start the server. I didn't launch the server. Only one node is active. I'm paying to the AWS only for this one node. Only for this one node. Tomorrow, the network traffic increase. The network traffic increase, this node is not available. This node is not capable to take that much of traffic. Then immediately launch another node. When this node 1 is busy, immediately launch another node. If this is also busy, immediately launch another node. That is the one of the service called autoscale. As per the demand, the nodes will automatically launch. When the network traffic decrease in autoscaling, we have to configure that matrix. In matrix, what you have to configure? If the RAM utilization more than 70% or more than 80%, launch immediately one instance. If the CPU utilization is more than 80%, launch instance, either RAM or CPU, any one of these. Any condition, either RAM or CPU. If RAM utilization less than 70%, terminate the instance. If RAM utilization more than 80%, launch the instance. If RAM utilization less than 70%, terminate the instance. If CPU utilization less than 70%, terminate the instance. This kind of metrics you can configure in autoscale, so that whenever the condition it reaches 80%, greater than or equal to 80%, immediately launch the instance. After some time, if the RAM utilization less than or equal to 70%, automatically terminate the instance. We are paying to the AWS only for 1 hour or 2 hours. Suppose this node is running for 1 hour, you are paying only for 1 hour. If I go for physical data center, I have to purchase this service. Very, very expensive. There is a concept of scalability, elasticity. Pay per use. Pay per use means you are not paying for whole month or whole year. You are paying only for how much time you consume this server. That is pay per use. No capital infrastructure. I just require only laptop or desktop. No capital infrastructure required. If you have laptop or desktop, you can start your work. In AWS, there is a free account. If I get the free account is for 12 months. 12 months, we can use for free of cost. Deploy the project faster, low maintenance, redundancy, and high availability. This will discuss later. We have a separate topic. What is redundancy? What is high availability? One of the good features in AWS is durability and availability. Durability, they are giving 11 nines. Durability, they are giving 11 nines. 11 nines means what? 99.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is called level 9. Availability is 4 nines, means 99.9. 99.9999 like 11 nines. The meaning of this, if I store my data, suppose in AWS cloud, if I store 1000 files, in AWS cloud, after 10,000 years, you may lose only one file. After 10,000 years, you may losing only one file. That is called as a durability. If you are keeping that files, your data in your Google Drive. Google Drive is also one of the cloud. So what durability they are giving? For example, if you keep 1,000 files in AWS cloud, after 10,000 years, you will lose only one file. That is called as a durability. Availability 99.99%. If you take the server from AWS cloud, they are giving the availability 99.99%. The meaning of this, the downtime only 56.32 seconds. 32 seconds. Downtime per year means 365 days. If you run the server for 1 year, 365 days, your downtime only 56.32 seconds, less than 1 hour. Less than 1 hour. No one can give the 100% downtime. No one can give the 100% downtime. If anyone giving 100% downtime, it's a fake. Here we have two types of downtime: planned downtime, unplanned downtime. Planned downtime and unplanned downtime. What is unplanned downtime? What is planned downtime? We have separate topic on that. We'll discuss later. So there are we can configure AWS services with graphical mode, and also we can configure with CLI mode, command line interface. We have both options, graphical mode and command line. Amazon EC2. If I launch the EC2, nothing but an instance, nothing but a server, the server is free for 750 hours. The server is free for 750 hours. After 750 hours, it is chargeable. How much they're going to charge? We have separate table for that. We'll discuss later. So there is a one type of instance called as a T2.micro. The whole AWS classes, we are going to discuss only T2.micro because this T2.micro is one of the compute capacity. T2.micro is one of the compute capacity. What is the hardware configuration for this T2.micro? 1 GB RAM, 1 GB RAM, 0.5 CPU, 1 GB RAM and 0.5 CPU. The whole AWS services, we are going to discuss this T2.micro. That is it is a free of cost. Remaining all the instances are chargeable. We have a concept called Amazon S3 storage. Amazon S3 storage. So if you take Google Drive, how much storage they are giving? 15 GB. That 15 GB is a free of cost. That 15 GB is a free of cost. But here they are giving only 5 GB, that is standard storage, which is free. And 20,000 get request, 2,000 put request. Get means download, put means upload. What is this get request, put request? We discuss later in service Amazon S3. So tomorrow, what is availability zone? What is the region? The architecture will discuss tomorrow. Any questions?
Srinivas, you are about to provide one contact of certification.
Yeah, I'll give tomorrow.
You will give tomorrow. Okay. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Sir, I have a doubt. In my system, what is the requirements I have to learn this course?
Nothing is required. If you have 2 GB RAM is enough. Because
Okay.
we are not doing anything in your laptop. Everything you are doing to practice in the cloud.
Okay.
If you have OS Windows installed, that is enough.
Thank you, sir. That's I called, asked this question with the support, DURGASOFT support. They told me ask to the sir. The sir will provide you the details.
Tomorrow, I'll explain you how to create account in AWS. Once you create the account, like you are accessing the gmail.com, yahoo.com, same like you can access the AWS account. You can log into the server. We can log into the AWS account. We can practice there itself.
Okay, sir.
If you have laptop or desktop, there is enough. Nothing is. Okay.
Hello, Srinivas.
Okay.
Good morning. Actually, your voice is not coming clearly from. I was watching your video from last 40 minutes, and some noise is coming. So, guys, I'm asking, you are also facing this issue, or only me facing voice-related issue? Actually, voice should be better. Whatever you are listening.
Maybe due to fan, I think. Is it a problem facing by you or all of you? Mahesh?
Yes, sir.
Gopinath?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Your voice is breaking.
Hello.
Sometimes,
voice is breaking.
sometimes it is breaking.
Okay, tomorrow I'll check that.
Yes, please check your headphone or something. Maybe some issue
Yes,
in
sure.
network. And Srinivas,
I'll
actually,
check
I
tomorrow.
have Srinivas. I will pay and I will join your AWS classes. But actually, as of now, only I have Office laptop, so I will not able to install whatever software is required. So only through laptop. is it possible to continue this class or
See,
it is required to install this
I
software?
told, no. I told you in your laptop, nothing to install. Like your access gmail.com, right?
Yes.
Same here also. Open the Google Chrome and type it.
Still your voice is not coming. I don't know. You are not audible.
At aws.amazon.com/free. So here we have a sign in. Sign into the console. Sign into the console, give the login name, username and password. You can log into the AWS console. You are going to practice in AWS console only. Not be anything in your laptop. You understood?
Yes, sir.
So log into the AWS console. There only they're going to practice. You just log in as a user. It is same like log into gmail.com. You log into the AWS. That's it. You don't need to install any software in your laptop. You understood, right? Mr.AnjiReddy. Registration. So tomorrow I'll explain you how to register yourself in AWS and how to access the resources. That is tomorrow class. Okay, guys, see you tomorrow.